Pete Hegseth should resign. That's a direct quote from a statement issued by a coalition of House Democrats. They're joining a growing chorus on Capitol Hill calling for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to quit after two major incidents with his direct involvement have plunged the Pentagon into chaos. A new Defense Department Inspector General report confirmed what many suspected all along, that Pete Hegseth endangered the lives of U.S. service members by communicating about sensitive military intelligence in a Signal group chat, which led to calls for his resignation. Pete Hegseth is also facing calls to resign as chilling new details emerged about this deadly strike carried out on an alleged Venezuelan drug boat by the United States on September 2nd that experts say could be a war crime. The New York Times is reporting, quote, multiple people who've seen the video of the attack say the survivors climbed on the overturned hull of the boat and waved to something overhead, a gesture interpreted as an attempt to surrender, beckoning rescue, or trying to signal other alleged drug traffickers. Pete Hegseth's Defense Department has so far refused to show the American people the video of what happened during the attacks. Hegseth first said he watched the whole thing happen and that they knew who was on the boat. Then he changed his story, blaming, quote, the fog of war for the second strike, which killed two people on that September 2nd operation.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. There's a reason Pete Hegseth refuses to release video of that second strike. It's because the American people, if allowed to see it, would find it unconscionable. But Pete Hegseth doesn't see himself as answerable to the American people, much less the Constitution. He treats service members like pawns, and he thinks war and killing are an excuse to show off. And it is long past time for him to go.
The president should fire him. Should have fired him after Signalgate. Should have never been nominated in the first place. But it's clear to me that he is not the right person for this job.
He is the least qualified Secretary of Defense in our nation's history, and he's very cavalier about doing things. The fact of the matter is, only Congress can decide that we can go to war, and there was no such declaration made.
Hegseth continues to be an anchor dragging down the Trump administration. And as tempted as I am to say, I told you so, this mouse of a man is going to get Americans killed. It's not just about the potential murders he ordered in the Caribbean. This is about U.S. service members risking their lives on missions that Pete Hegseth treats like video games. It's infuriating to have seen this coming from the beginning and having virtually the entire Republican Party fall in line. Remember, only 3 Republicans, 3, voted against Hegseth's Senate confirmation. One of the Democratic senators who warned us all then and who has continued to sound the alarm is Tammy Duckworth. I think you'll really appreciate this conversation, not just because of all that has happened in the last couple of weeks, but because we get into it not just as interviewer and senator, but as 2 fellow military aviators who see Hegseth for what he is. Senator Duckworth is one of my all-time heroes. Here's our conversation. Senator Tammy Duckworth, welcome to the show. You tried to warn us during Hegseth's confirmation hearings. You, more than just about anybody, I'd put you right up there with Senator Slotkin, who we talked to last week, tried to let the American people know what a disaster this man would be as Secretary of Defense. And I'm sure you take no pleasure in being proven unambiguously right this week. How are you feeling about it?
Well, that's exactly it. I take no pleasure because I'm being proven right at the expense of the American people and our national security, and at the expense of the security of our troops. Right? We put our troops in jeopardy when we don't uphold the rules of law. We put our nation and national security in jeopardy when we, as a nation, commit illegal acts like these, like these double tap strikes. And so, yeah, I'm right, but America has been damaged by Pete Hegseth and the Trump administration's really illegal and wayward actions here.
And since his confirmation, you and others in the Democratic caucus, with very few exceptions on the right, have been trying to remind people of what a threat Secretary Hegseth poses, and it began with Signalgate. We now have the IG's report. I don't know if you've had a chance to read it yet, but it is as damning as we thought it would be. I mean, it is domino after domino with this man. And I would love to just get a sense from you if Republicans are finally waking up, especially in the Senate, to the threat he poses.
Yeah, I think Republicans have always known what the threat is, but they were, more afraid of Donald Trump and their own reelections than they were. I mean, I think they cared more about their own reelections and Donald Trump than they did about national security. They always knew what the threats were. I mean, my colleagues, especially those who serve in uniform, always knew. My concern is that they put that aside because they cared more about personal ambitions and kowtowing to Donald Trump. Look on the Signal report. I just very briefly have just read it very quickly, the unclassified report. And if it's true, the Inspector General's report confirms what we already know. And everybody in uniform already knew. Hegseth shared classified sensitive information that put our troops at great risk. And again, he's not qualified and should not be Secretary of Defense, and he needs to resign immediately.
One of the aspects of his leadership, let's put that in air quotes, that the military community is really picking up on, that I know you perceived early on, was his refusal to take responsibility for his own mistakes. Most of our episodes are PG here, but we'll venture into R-rated territory. There is a term that veteran members of this audience will appreciate. It's called Blue Falcon in the U.S. military, and that defines this guy. When you look at the way the uniforms around him are about to be thrown under the bus, can you illuminate that term for us? What is the Blue Falcon in any unit, and now at the head of the Department of Defense, due to the morale of that unit?
Well, let me just start off by saying that one of the key first lessons you learn as a young officer is that you can always delegate authority, but you cannot delegate responsibility. And apparently, our Secretary of Defense was maybe absent on that day of training. I don't know. Maybe he didn't have an NCO beat it into him like most of us commissioned officers did, over the course of our years in the military as junior officers, getting that good NCO who takes you aside and reads you the riot act. Maybe he didn't have that upbringing, which he sincerely needs. But basically what the Trump administration and Hegseth has shown to the troops is that they will throw you under the bus. So all of these people who come before us for confirmation hearings who say, oh, you know what, you're asking a hypothetical saying that Donald Trump might give an illegal order. I'm not going to have to I'm not going to answer that question because Donald Trump would never give an illegal order. Well, here you go. And he will throw you under the bus. And so Blue Falcon, the first word is buddy. I don't know. Can I say the F? It's
Go
not
ahead.
like I haven't been.
We'll bleep it out if we have to.
I've not said the word fuck before, but but you're right. It's somebody who is basically going to screw over his buddies for himself, right? He's going to stand strong with you unless there's trouble, and then he's going to say, "Oh, it was his fault, not mine." And that's what Hegseth is. And remember that he didn't exactly succeed in the military. I mean, he was put off the line when it came time to defend Washington, D.C. because of suspected white nationalist affiliations. So let's be clear who we have sitting in the SecDef seat right now.
Last minute shopping during the holidays is the worst. You're running out of ideas, the stores are packed, and forget about finding parking. Aura Frames is the best last minute solution, a gift that actually feels thoughtful and personal. I'm one of those people who struggles with ideas for what to get my wife and family. I want something meaningful, something that doesn't feel rushed, and honestly, that pressure usually makes me procrastinate. Aura Frames, in my opinion, is the single best gift for that. Here's why. Aura Frames lets you share photos or videos from any device, and they instantly appear on the frame, wherever it is in the world, at your home, your office, or someone's home across the country or across the world. The frames are gorgeous. They display photos in true color, and they automatically adjust to the light in the room. When you turn out the lights at night, the frame turns off too, saving energy and letting you sleep. And the setup, about 2 minutes. Download the Aura app, connect to Wi-Fi, and you're done. Preload your photos before it ships. Add a message before your gift arrives. Keep adding new photos and videos anytime from anywhere. Every frame comes in a premium gift box with no price tag, truly ready to wrap and give. You can't wrap togetherness, but you can frame it. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver mat frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code KEN at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code KEN. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Hey everyone, it's Ken. Quick break for a shameless pitch for my Substack and Patreon pages. To all of you who have subscribed, thank you. Your support is what makes this show possible. Anytime you see in-person reporting, whether it's trips to Ukraine to show you what is really happening on the ground, or my recent conversations with Congressman Jason Crow and Senator Tammy Duckworth, where we got on-the-record commitments to back hearings into ICE's abuses of power,
people need to know that we're taking names.
all of this only happens with your support. Every dollar that comes in through Substack and Patreon goes back into this show. And with the holidays coming up, you can give gift subscriptions as well. The links are below. Thanks for everything. Your support means the world to me. Back to the show. I am already hearing about cratering morale within Southcom and SOCOM because of this sense that the civilian leadership is tasking frontline operators with doing things that have dubious legal justification, and then now doesn't have their backs. Not only doesn't have their backs, but is throwing them to the wolves. And in this case, Congress is the wolves, right? It's you're doing your job in getting these hearings and calling Admiral Bradley, and I would imagine Admiral Halsey and others to the mat to understand what they knew about the orders they were receiving. Are you getting those same reports of the impact on morale of this secretary and his inability to stand up for his troops?
Yeah, the morale of the troops is cratering. I'm hearing exactly the same thing from my friends who are still serving. Listen, it's the wolves are not just members of Congress holding Hegseth accountable. I worry about the well-being of the troops when it comes to things like international criminal courts. They can be sued internationally, right? If you're committing war crimes, if you're committing illegal actions, you can actually be brought up in international tribunals. So I worry more about the troops who are being forced to carry out these orders. And also, by the way, I'm worried that Trump is marching us towards yet another forever war. I mean, he's not just, he isn't just putting Americans at risk. He's breaking the law. He's forcing our troops into impossible situations. And he's also breaking his campaign promise not to engage in another forever war. But that's what he's doing over and over and over again.
I want to ask you this question, not as a senator, but as a fellow pilot, because I want us to try to humanize the costs of ignoring norms and laws of warfare and international treaties. If I had bailed out of a plane, or if you had ditched at sea, and we're given a tiny little one-man raft that we have to hoist ourselves up into, even if, our legs and arms are broken from the bailout. And if we call for help, apparently the argument of this administration is that by clicking send on that radio, we are now a target and can be blown up or strafed in the water. That just that's not right.
It's not right. It's illegal. It's illegal. The first strike was illegal. The second strike is illegal. And frankly, the two individuals in this double tap case were actually still in the water. They weren't even in a boat, in a dinghy. The allegations about this specific strike show that Trump and Hegseth have callous disregard for human life, but they also have callous disregard for our troops because you are putting them in legal jeopardy. And that, there's a reason we don't strike people who cannot fight. Because if we do, that's what's going to stop our enemies from attacking us, right? When you and I jump, helicopter pilots don't bail out of helicopters. It's kind of hard to do. So they don't take us to, they don't send us to ejection training because, that rotor blade above you. But if you're behind enemy lines and then the enemy, if you don't adhere to the Geneva Convention, if you don't adhere to how we conduct the rules of law, the laws of warfare, then the enemies that's how they're going to treat our people. And also we need to make sure that, again, as I've said before, that we don't put our troops in legal jeopardy as well.
Last question around accountability. Do you feel like with this, at long last, you will have the leverage you need, along with your Democratic colleagues, to get enough Republicans to come over and hold the kinds of hearings that the American people deserve into what this Department of Defense is doing?
I hope so. I am encouraged by the fact that the Republican chairman of Armed Services Committee spoke up on this and demanded a briefing on this double tap. So let's see if more of my Republican colleagues will step up. They certainly were not there when it came time to confirm Hegseth. They were not there in any prolonged period of time under the first Signal Gate scandal. Let's see if they actually finally step up.
Let's see. Thank you, Senator, so much for joining us again. We'll be tracking.
Thank you.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.